What if you're already becoming successful, but you don't even realize it? The biggest signs of success aren't luxury cars, expensive watches, or millions in the bank. They're the quiet habits almost nobody notices until it's too late. In the next few minutes, you'll discover 8 powerful signs of quiet success that separate people who are building lasting wealth from those who are only chasing the appearance of it. And trust me, sign number 8 is the one most people completely miss.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're diving into something that, honestly, it completely flips the script on how we view financial success. You know, when most of us picture wealth, we instantly think of like flashy cars, designer clothes, expensive vacations, and confetti raining down the second you hit that $1 million mark. But the reality? Real wealth is usually incredibly quiet. And actually, it's kind of boring. So today, we're going to walk through 8 super subtle signs that you are actually on the right path to financial freedom.
Let me ask you something. What if you're secretly becoming highly successful and you don't even know it? Seriously. If you've ever felt this nagging anxiety about your finances just because you haven't had that massive lottery ticket moment yet, take a deep breath. Getting rich doesn't usually feel like a sudden jackpot. You're not going to get an automated text from your bank suddenly saying, "Congrats, you made it." In fact, most of the time, the people who are actually building real wealth don't feel rich at all, mostly because they're just way too busy doing the invisible day-to-day work. Okay, let's dive into this. On one hand, we've got the loud myth of wealth. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that highly curated, perfect highlight reel we're constantly bombarded with on social media. But on the flip side, the quiet reality. Secretly getting rich is, well, it's entirely uneventful. It's skipping that impulse buy at the checkout line. It's setting up a totally boring automatic transfer from your checking to your savings. It's making that really uncomfortable choice to say no to an expensive dinner today, just so your future self doesn't have to struggle. All right, phase 1, the foundation, living below your means and building a buffer. To really show you how these concepts play out in the real world, we're going to follow 2 totally different personas throughout this explainer. Meet quiet success rich Richard and loud broke poor Peter. Now, both these guys earn the exact same amount of money, but their daily habits, they put them in completely different financial universes. Let's see how they handle the very first sign of quiet success. And here is sign number 1, living below your means. Both of these guys make $75,000 a year. But check out poor Peter. He's spending $80,000. Every single time he gets a raise, boom, it's instantly swallowed up by a nicer apartment or a brand new car payment. He looks incredibly successful to his friends, but internally, he feels totally broke and stressed. Now look at Richard. He only spends $55,000. He is intentionally creating a $20,000 gap. And here's the absolutely crucial takeaway. Richard's $20,000 gap isn't about him depriving himself. No, that gap represents breathing room. It's options. It's literally the mathematical foundation of his future freedom. And you know, once you establish that gap, you naturally unlock sign number 2, building a financial buffer. Get this. If you have 3 to 6 months of living expenses tucked away in an emergency fund, you are literally in the top 25% of Americans. Think about that. You might not be bragging about it online, sure, but you have quietly built something incredibly powerful that the vast majority of people entirely lack. Let's see how this actually plays out for our 2 guys. So Richard has $20,000 just sitting in a high-yield savings account. When his company announces unexpected layoffs or, I don't know, his laptop suddenly dies, he's concerned, sure, but he calmly pivots. He doesn't even have to log in and check his bank balance before buying a replacement. Poor Peter, on the other hand, he bounces frantically between $14 and $100 in his checking account. When his car needs a repair, it isn't just an errand. It's a massive crisis that goes straight onto a high-interest credit card. A financial buffer buys you peace of mind. It turns what would be a major crisis into just a minor inconvenience. So, just to keep us on track here, we've covered our foundational 2 signs. 1, living below your means, and 2, building a financial buffer. If you're doing these 2 things, man, you are already miles and miles ahead of the crowd. All right, let's move into our next chapter, the growth engine. Because once your foundation is rock solid, true success really relies on this profound, long-term psychological shift. You basically stop looking at what money can do to impress people today, and you start looking at what it can quietly build for you decades from now. Which brings us right to sign number 3, thinking in long-term gains instead of chasing those quick wins. Let's look at Richard's timeline here. He automatically invests $500 a month into index funds, like clockwork.
At year 5, the market drops 15%, but he doesn't panic. He just keeps contributing. He completely tunes out the market noise. And over 20 years, that disciplined, boring, automatic compounding turns his original contributions into $350,000 in real wealth. He's playing a game of decades, not days.
Now contrast that nice, smooth timeline with Peter's frantic approach. Peter is totally addicted to instant gratification. Year 1, he's obsessively day trading crypto. Year 5, he pivots to some dropshipping side hustle he saw on social media. He's constantly jumping from shiny object to shiny object, always looking for that overnight success. 20 years later, he's only got $60,000 saved and, well, a huge collection of what he likes to call lessons learned. He entirely missed out on the invisible magic of compound growth just because he couldn't sit still. And this perfectly illustrates sign number 4, lifestyle inflation immunity. So both Richard and Peter got a really nice raise between age 28 and 32, bumping them from $60,000 to $80,000 a year. But look at their apartment costs. It tells a totally different story. Peter immediately upgraded to a $2,200 a month apartment. His spending rose to perfectly match his new income. Richard, he kept his rent low. He captured that entire $32,000 raise across those years and funneled it straight into his investments. So by age 40, Richard's sitting on $280,000 in wealth, while Peter barely scraped together $35,000. Listen, when you get a raise and your very first thought is, how much more can I invest instead of what can I buy, you have officially leveled up psychologically. Let's add those to our growing checklist. Number 3, thinking and long-term gains, and 4, lifestyle inflation immunity. Remember, leveling up your psychology like this, it is significantly more important than just earning a higher salary. Your mental framework literally dictates where the money actually ends up.
That leads us right into our next major section, the mental shift. As you quietly build wealth, your relationship with the outside world fundamentally changes. Let's look at the key behavioral markers that keep truly successful people laser-focused on their long-term vision.
This brings us to sign number 5. You've completely stopped comparing yourself to others. I mean, when a buddy rolls up in a flashy new $60,000 truck, Richard feels absolutely no envy. He genuinely hopes it makes his friend happy. But he happily keeps driving his $15,000 used Toyota because he knows it aligns with his bigger goals. But Peter? Oh, the FOMO kicks in immediately. He feels this intense pressure to keep up appearances, so he finances a $50,000 truck at an awful 7% interest rate. Cut to 2 years later, and he's super stressed out and completely upside down on the loan. Quiet wealth means you are wonderfully, blissfully immune to peer pressure and marketing. And because you aren't trying to keep up with anyone, you achieve sign number 6. Money just becomes background noise. For the quietly wealthy, money stops being the main character of their day. Their finances run on autopilot, automatic savings, automated bill pay. And that frees up immense mental energy to actually focus on family or exciting projects or, building a legacy. Meanwhile, if you're broke like Peter, you are constantly doing this exhausting mental math. Every single lunch out or tank of gas turns into a financial debate. You're mentally drained from managing money poorly instead of just building a system that manages itself. Then we get to this incredibly powerful mindset shift. I'm building my investment portfolio first. The luxury apartment can wait. This represents sign number 7, taking extreme ownership. Instead of complaining about inflation or ridiculous rent prices in a big city, Richard optimizes his $65,000 income. He gets roommates, he bikes to work, he focuses purely on what he can actually control. Peter, making the exact same money, spends all his time explaining why he can't save. The economy is bad, my student loans are too heavy, I deserve to enjoy my life. He's using real challenges as an excuse to avoid action, whereas Richard, he uses those exact same challenges as constraints to creatively work around. All right, let's check off these 3 powerful mental shifts. Sign 5, you've stopped comparing yourself to the crowd. Sign 6, your money is peaceful background noise on autopilot. And sign 7, you are taking full ownership of your circumstances. Putting yourself squarely in the driver's seat like this, it is the absolute ultimate power move for your personal finances. And that brings us to our final chapter, the ultimate currency. I really want you to lean in here because this builds up to the single most profound sign of true success. Once you have the foundation, the growth engine, and the mental shift all locked in, you naturally unlock the ultimate currency. Which brings us to the 8th and final sign. You stop trading time for money and you start using money to buy back your time. Look, most people are going to chase money their entire lives, but the truly wealthy, they chase time and they chase space. Richard, for example, gladly pays someone $150 a month to clean his apartment, Why? Because that buys him 3 precious hours on a Saturday to spend with his kids or work on a passion project. He is buying convenience and peace. Peter, well, he does everything himself just to save a few bucks. His weekend is packed with chores, he feels busy and important, but ultimately, he's just completely exhausted. Shifting to value your time way more than finding material deals is the ultimate quiet upgrade. So let's pull all of this together and look at the complete board, the 8 signs of quiet success. Living below your means, building a financial buffer, focusing on long-term gains, maintaining lifestyle inflation immunity, refusing to compare yourself to others, turning money into background noise, taking absolute ownership, and finally, buying back your time. Look, if you recognize even 1 or 2 of these signs in your own habits right now, you need to give yourself some serious credit. You are likely quietly building an undeniable, recession-proof foundation, even if it doesn't feel like you've hit the jackpot just yet. I want to leave you with one final provocative question to reflect on today as you kind of evaluate your own definition of wealth. Are you chasing money or are you chasing time? Because at the end of the day, real wealth isn't just about the numbers sitting in your bank account. It's about how free you feel when you wake up in the morning. So keep building quietly, stay focused, and honestly, just enjoy the journey. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.